And welcome back to South Beach. Dan Leach here with two fantastic guests. It's Simon Klein, the global head of Xtrackers, and Aram Babikian. He is the Xtrackers sales for the U.S. Wealth Channel. Great to be with you both.
Great to be here.
And let's start with my man Simon, global head of Xtrackers. Let's talk about, the DWS and the growth of the Xtrackers ETF business. I know you're very excited about where things are going right now.
Perfect. Thank you, first of all, hosting us. So I think DWS is a 1 trillion asset manager headquartered in Germany. I think we have more than 60 years of experience in managing funds. I think in the US we have around 250 billion of assets under management. We have a relatively long history also in the US. When it comes to our Xtracker ETF business, I think globally we have 350 billion assets under management. So we built the business from scratch back in 2007. So we have a CAGR of more than 20% year over year. So very strong growth with the 350 billion. It makes us a top 10 ETF provider globally. In Europe, we are number 3, and we are growing relatively fast in Europe, I can tell you. In the US, we also launched a growth initiative. We have launched more than 10 products over the last 2 years, hired a lot of people, including also Aram here, invested in marketing and new products. And I think, we want to grow here as well. It's great to be here. I think when it comes to the value proposition here, I think first of all to mention some categories where we are strong. So we have 25 billion assets under management here on the ground. We are strong in currency hedge international equity ETFs, US high yield, China A shares, factor, sustainability, just to name a few. And we have launched much more in the past, like thematics. We have a value proposition based on innovation, access, and also value.
There's really not much you're not involved in right now. I love it. This is an exciting time to be involved in what you are. And I know, Simon, you've been part of DWS and Deutsche Bank for many years. Tell us about the roles you had at the firm.
Yeah, first of all, I joined as the first ETF salesperson back when we launched the ETF business out of Deutsche Bank investment banking arm. So at the time I did, I think, 3 jobs in one. I was sales, I was doing sales trading, I was doing marketing, everything, back office. So it was a very small team we had at the beginning, so very exciting. So we launched the business from scratch. So I was heading up the sales for Europe and Asia from that time onwards. And 2013, the group reorganized the asset management division. Everything came under what's called DWS, I explained before. And the ETF business also moved into that section, into the asset management arm. And since then, we are building out the business. And 2020, I became the global head of the firm.
So let's say there's not much you haven't done. You've done it. You've done it all. You've done many things.
Absolutely.
Very, very well. Let's bring a Aram in here and talk to you. If we can, let's get the mic over there. When it comes to DWS's perspective on things, the themes that you guys are working with right now, what would those be?
So, again, we're looking at innovation, access, and value, but that innovation pillar is really important to us. And we've come out with a lot of very interesting products, some of them first of its kind. So, right now, the 3 big themes that we're seeing right now, artificial intelligence, and then...
Huge.
Absolutely. I mean, it's growing by leaps and bounds, and it feels just like the internet era times 2.
Yeah.
So you have that. Then you have kind of the changing of the global order in terms of trade, in terms of geopolitics. So the rise of geopolitical risk is definitely a hot point right now. But also with the changing of the global order, you have something where a lot of opportunity right now, especially this year, in international investing.
Sure.
So international diversification is kind of the third theme there.
Yeah, and listen, as we talked about, it's very fascinating times we're living in, both with innovation, but also obviously geopolitical tension, things like that. When it comes to Xtrackers ETF solutions, what do you think are the most suitable for the current environment? Because there's a lot going on, some very good things and some things that are making people anxious.
So he talked about the European platform. On the European side, we have over 300 ETFs. In the US, we have about 40 ETFs and growing, and we're growing quite a bit. But I wanted to talk about 4 tickers today.
Sure.
And each one of those are kind of a solution within that space. So the most unique one that we have right now in AI is XAIX. And this is actually based off of our European product that we did a sort of a copy and paste and ported over to here in the United States. But what makes this product unique is it actually utilizes AI in order to create the basket of stocks. But the AI it's using is natural language processing to sift through patents that these companies are filing.
It's amazing.
So you're looking both backward looking and forward looking, and you're going to have a lot of the beneficiaries of not just the AI boom, but also the efficiencies that come that these companies are utilizing. So Bank of America, for example, is one of those that most people might not be aware, but they're actually one of the largest holders of AI patents out there.
Well, let's bring my man Simon back in here for a second. I'm going to ask you both this question. When it comes to, where we're going to, I wish we all, could see the future, but let's look 5 to 7 years into the future. And where do you see things going? And obviously, where do you see Xtrackers fitting into that?
I think, we never know what's next. I think geopolitical risks are everywhere. I think this is a threat to everybody. AI we talked about, this will disrupt and also innovate industries, so there will be a lot of change coming to us. I think our solution approach from Xtracker perspective is to have this kind of supermarket approach. So I think we talked about Europe, we talked about the US. In Europe, we try to launch everything, what makes sense. In the US, we want to be more precise. So therefore, we also launched a product, for instance, called Critical Technologies, which is investing into the critical technologies defined by the US Department of Defense. And on top, it has a geopolitical risk framework applied where we filter out stocks which are highly exposed to countries like with a high geopolitical risk, for instance, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Iraq, for instance. So these kind of solutions we are producing to make, the portfolio weather-proofed, and this is what we are excited about.
Well, that's the same thing to Aram. When you spin things forward to the next, 3 to 5, 7 years, as far as your perspective, what do you see with Xtrackers?
So, the U.S. National Critical Technologies ETF that we have, ticker symbol CRTC, is part of one solution of the area, right? So you have a area that's following where trillions are going to be flowing into U.S. critical technologies. But that also means on the opposite side, you also have some opportunities on the international area. So we have hedged and unhedged in this area. DBEF is our hedged version of EFA, and then HDEF is our unhedged high dividend strategy. But international is starting to be very, very exciting right now.
Sure.
Because as you have geopolitical tension, then what's also happening is you're seeing a lot of these countries heavily investing into their own economies and their own companies. Look at what happened with Germany. I mean, the amount that is being invested over there, plus the value proposition of the value spread between US, European, and other parts of the world is one of the greatest it's ever been. So you have investment on one side coming in, plus a value play. It makes things to be very, very exciting internationally.
It is definitely quite the time to be alive. Simon Klein, Aram Babikian from Xtrackers, thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you.
We'll shake hands too and have the mic there. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.